Hello everyone, this is our third video of Linux commands. The next thing we want to see is about compression of files. Can we compress files with zip or tar or something? Yes. Here I just want to show you zip, but you can also do a tar. So let's say I want to put these files 1 and 2, I want to basically put them in a zip folder, right? So what do I say here? I say zip, and then I provide the name of the zip folder, so I call it maybe my files.zip, and then I provide the name, so it was my file 1 text and my file 2 text, right? Go ahead and put them in a zip folder, and you see now if we go, there is this zip folder here, and this one, if you double click and it extracts, you see that it has both of those guys in it. Okay, so clearly you see that it does the zip for you. And then of course there is the unzip command here, right? So you can do unzip, and unzip does the opposite of that. But before that, let me talk a little bit about the options. So one of the things you can do when you do this, right, is when you use -9. If you use -9, means use the maximum compression possible. Okay, and it tries to do that. That's one thing. The other thing is you can say -E, and D is password protected. So you see here, now I put the password on it, and I say, let's say, I type in something as a password and enter, and you have to verify it, right? So now look, if you go here, now it's zipped but with the password. If I double click to unzip it, it says, hey, give me the password, right? So now I have to provide the password, and there we go. Now it unzips it for me. Okay, so I created the password protected one here. Now let's look at the unzip command. So as I said, the unzip does the exact opposite. It is gonna unzip. So here I say unzip, and then the name was my files.zip. So go ahead and unzip that, right? Now because I made it password protected, even when I run this command, I still need to what? Need to provide my password, and once I do that, now because it has the files 1 and 2 that were already available here, I did not remove them. Now it says, what do you want me to do with them? Do you want me to replace that my file 1 that you had with this one that is coming out of the unzip, or no, or all, or everything? So if I say A, right, okay, it says, hey, no, I didn't like it, give me capital A, it's sensitive. Okay, sensitive, I did. And now it basically unzipped them and replaced them with the content of this one. Okay, so this is the unzip command. Now, if you use -L, what's gonna happen here? So if you use -L, it's not gonna extract it, just gonna show you the content of it. Okay, so this is an interesting thing here. Now, sometimes you don't want to basically extract it in wherever that zip is. You want to extract it elsewhere, right? So I don't want to extract it here in homes. I want to maybe extract it in downloads. Can I do that? The answer is yes. How? So here, if you want to extract it to a separate folder, when you provide the name of this guy, now you go ahead and say -D, right? I want to provide the dir at the location, and then say, well, let's see, downloads. So go ahead and send it to downloads, unzip it over there. Right, again, it is asking for password. I provided it. Now look here, you see these two files are now extracted to downloads instead of what, to wherever it was. Okay, you see? So you can do -D. And you remember that this guy here, this tilde means home. So it means go to home, go to downloads. Now, another thing you can do is -O. So remember when I did this, it unzipped them, but asked me, do you want me to replace them, overwrite them or something? And I had to say yes or no. Sometimes you want to do it and you don't even want it to ask you, hey, do you want me to replace them or not? You use -O. That means do overwrite them if they exist automatically and do not even ask me for anything. So if I do that and I provide my password, boom, you see? It extracted them it has overwritten them and never asked me for yes, no, or anything. So this is -O for the unzip. The next command we are going to talk about is command wget. Wget is the command that you use to download files from internet addresses like HTTP, HTTPS, FTP, and so on. Okay, so if you have a file from a specific website, like a zip, some file, anything, you can go ahead and say wget and then provide the name of that website and then / and then the name of the file. Okay, and you can use -C to resume a download that was interrupted and -O to save it to a different place. The only thing is you need to make sure in that address there is that file accessible. For instance, let's say I want to get the file for the wget command itself directly from the website, right? As you know, the Linux kernel that we are using in Ubuntu comes with the GNU, which is a collection of software, free software, that the kernel of Linux is using, so the user can operate with the kernel. And so this wget is one such command. So you can see that if you say ls --version, show me the version here, and you can see that this is the GNU that you have, right? And now I want to go to the website of this GNU and I want to get the text file for the command wget itself. So this is what I do. Look, I say go to this address, GNU org software wget manual. So go to the manuals, get this file wget.txt, download it, and then what? -O. -O means rename it when you want to save it to the local drive. So rename it like this: GNU _wget _manual.txt. So this command goes there, downloads it, renames it, and saves it to the local directory. Look here, done. Now if we go here, look, this guy here, look at that. There we go. You see that? Right? And this is the first time I did it without renaming it. Right? So this is what this is, downloading the file, and you could rename it or not rename it, just make sure that it does not change the content of the file. Okay, so now that we have seen zip, unzip, and wget with some options, let's talk about the help and the manual, since I just talked about the manual. So one of the things you have, remember I said you can see the help for any function. So if I want to see what this wget has, I can say, hey, wget --help, right? Shows me all of the options for it. And you see this one has a ton of options, right? Here I just showed you O, but you can get tons and tons of things, right? So you see that you can write it to a file, you can set a number of retries if it couldn't get it, right? You can get timestamping, you can have print server response, and so on, right? So there are lots of options. For instance, if I just go back and redo this command that we did, but this time I do what I do, don't rename it, but give it -s. So download the file, don't change it, just get the wget and -s. Look here, it says, hey, invalid option -s. Hey, I did not like you to give me that, right? It was not happy with -s, so you might need to go back and make sure that it is not case sensitive. It was, okay? So make sure this is capital S, right? So now look here, you see that it shows the response that it was sent, and then what happened, and you got the file, the connection, everything, and you saved it, okay? And this is the file, right? So -s shows you with capital S, of course, the options. And one thing you see back to back is these options are case sensitive, so you cannot just go for small s versus capital S or upper lowercase mixed. Okay, another thing you can do is man for manual, right? So, but man comes before the name of the command, as opposed to help that comes after with 2 dashes. So you want to say, hey, give me the manual for the command wget, right? And you see that it basically shows you what? Shows you the manual of it, right? So it shows you a lot of information about it and everything. And this is what, this is the command manual does, and it gives you also options. So you can use H here, press H to give you help, or you can use Q to quit, right? You can use a space to go to next page. Look here, I use a space, it goes to next page. If I use B from the keyboard, it goes to the previous page, right? So I can use B and space to move between the pages. I can, as I said, use H. So in the manual, I look for help, or I can use Q, look here, to what? To get out of the manual. So this is what, this is the manual command here. Okay, what else is a useful command? The next command we want to talk about is history. So what does history do? Well, history, of course, shows you the previous commands that you were running, right? So if I simply just say history, it shows me everything that I have typed. Look, there we go. So every single command that I used is gonna be shown here, and if I want to clean them up, I say history-c, and it is gonna do that. So now if I say history again, look, if I say history, there is nothing, just the history itself, which I just ran. Okay, so if you want to clean up all of your memory of previous command, just use history-c. Good. So this is the history and cleaning the history here. Okay, so what else do we have here? Let me show you some interesting, useful commands. One of them is the command date. This one will show you the date of today, right? So Thursday, November 20th, it shows you the time, it shows you the time zone and the year. Okay, so it's everything that you want to have. Now, if you want to also see which day of the week it is, you can use this date, and then you can say plus %A, capital A, right? And now look, it shows you which day of the week it is. So date alone gives you all of this information, but if you use with plus %A, now you see which day of the week it is. Okay, what else? Another thing I want to show you is the calendar command. So if you just say calendar, cal, it shows you the calendar of the current month, right? If you want to see the calendar for the whole year, you just add the year to it. Hey, show me the whole calendar of 2025. right? Here we go. Now you have the whole calendar. If you want to see a month that is not the current month, let's say I want to see the December of 2025, I need to provide the month number. So show me month 12 of 2025, and now you see it is going to show me the December. So this calendar command is one interesting command, along with what? Along with the date command. Okay, let's move on. So the next command I want to show you is about system information and environment. One of them is who am I. So who am I? And this one is going to show me the username, the current username, which is me. You see here? So it is gonna show who that person is. Remember, earlier in the echo, we used this one inside a text to see my name. But if you want to just see it directly, right, this one is gonna do. You might say, well, can I just type in that thing here? Yes, it does, but then it also says that this is not like a regular command. You can use it within something else with substitution. Okay, so this is the command to use. Another command is if you want to show the system and the kernel details of the system, you use the command uname. Okay, so if I say uname, then it shows me what? It shows me the name of the operating system, Linux. But if I want to see more information about it, I can use -a. So hey, -a. Now I can see more, right? I can see a lot more, including the Ubuntu and more stuff, the GNU and so on. So that shows me more information. If I use -r, then it only shows me the name of the kernel, which is this guy here, 614 generic. Okay, so uname shows you the operating system. Another command you have is who, not who am I, who. Who shows which user is currently logged into the system. So it's not just the name of the user, it's more than that. It shows who is logged in, and when and what day and when is it that they logged into the system. So right now it's just me. But this is good if you have a network of several people and you want to see who is in the system, who has logged in when. This command who can get you that. Okay, what else? So another command that can help you is the command ss, which is for network connections, or the net stat. This one or ss, they are doing the same job. These guys are going to show you the active ports and connections. Okay, for instance, I can say, hey, net stat, and then dash TULN, show me what you have here, and then it shows you basically what all of the active internet connections at the moment, all of the ports and everything you have. Again, this is really good for the network connection, see which ports you have and so on. And SS does the same job, right? You see it's a little bit formatted differently, but you can see all of these addresses and everything. Okay, what else do we have? So another command that I don't use it here, but this is good when you want to securely connect to a remote system or a network that you have, is secure shell client, SSH. Now I'll do that later when I want to connect to something local. I'm gonna show you that, but this one is what I typically use, for instance, in my robotics classes when I want to connect from my Raspberry Pi to a LiDAR that I have on the robot. right? And that okay, another command we have that we use for connecting securely to a remote system or something over the network is the secure shell client, or SSH. And what you need to provide is then the user and then @ and then the IP address, whatever it is, I don't know, 192 something. And I don't do it today, but I can show you later. I use this typically when I want to get the data from a LiDAR that I have. For instance, that's application for me. I want to connect to a LiDAR I have on a robot that is doing a mapping of the environment, and that LiDAR is connected to a Raspberry Pi. So Raspberry Pi controls the flow of data. So, and that Raspberry Pi is connected to network. So what I will do is from my computer, I secure shell client into the Raspberry Pi, and I can get remotely the data of that Pi onto my computer. Okay, so this can be a discussion of its own, so I just want to mention it to you, right? And so if you provided the user an address, you can do a secure connection to a remote basically system. Now I showed you the clear. You have seen I use clear back to back to clean up the terminal. Another thing you can do is the command exit, and if you do the exit, it is going to close the terminal like that, right? So you see that exit does get out of the terminal. It's basically like clicking on this guy here. Okay, thank you so much for your attention. Hopefully you learned some useful commands, and I'll see you in the next video.